Hello? Hi. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, bye. Back again with that old lady that thinks she can do that young people thing. That's me. Hello again, internet people. How you doing? We're gonna make one of my favorite breads in probably the laziest way possible. Lazy sourdough pita. Who knew you could do lazy sourdough anything? Me, I knew it. Now I'm gonna share that with you. So picture this. I'm scrolling through my YouTube feed looking for something to occupy the next 5 minutes of my life when suddenly I start thinking about what I'm gonna make for dinner later. Because, you know, I still have to eat while I'm awaiting my impending doom or what have you. Then I start thinking, what is something that is mildly healthy but also delicious? A pita and hummus platter. So this is an essential vegan staple, and I know there's some vegan folk out there who are gonna whine and complain if they're presented with a pita and hummus platter for dinner, but not me. And I actually do quite understand why they might feel that way. And that's probably because they're going to end up getting a bag of baby carrots and some store-bought hummus and some day-old pita from the corner store, and they're gonna end up paying $15 for the plate. Gross. And assuming that you have a sourdough starter, you probably have everything you need right now in your kitchen to make this. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into the recipe. In the bowl of a stand mixer, add 200 grams of sourdough starter. I'm just using the cold sourdough starter straight from my fridge. If you have an active bubbly starter, that's even better. But since this is a lazy recipe, I just wanted to do it as lazy as I could get away with. Follow that with 300 grams of warm water and mix into a milky white liquid. Then we're just gonna add everything else. Most sourdough recipes are very precious about the order of ingredients and the timing in which you perform all of the steps, but this is the lazy version, so we're just gonna skip all of that and just dump it all in. Add 550 grams of all-purpose flour, 40 grams of olive oil, 20 grams of sugar, and 15 grams of salt. Attach the dough hook to the mixer, plug it in, and mix on a medium speed for about 10 minutes. The dough will be sticky, and that's perfectly normal. Try to avoid the temptation of just adding more flour. Instead of using your hands to deal with the sticky dough, I highly recommend using a rubber spatula. It just makes everything a lot easier. I highly recommend getting a separate bowl and spraying that with cooking oil. And then take your dough from the first bowl and put it into the now oiled bowl. It'll really help with containing the stickiness of the dough, and it'll keep it from sticking to the sides of the new bowl, which will make it a lot easier to work with later. Try to use your spatula to shape the dough into a bit of a globby ball, and then cover the bowl with plastic wrap and a kitchen towel. Well, that's the hard work pretty much done. All you have to do now is just set it off to the side and ignore it for the next 3 hours, preferably in a warm place. After 3 hours, we can go ahead and start dividing our dough into little balls. So I wound up with 16. If you would like, you could actually make like 8 or 12 or how many you feel like. You're just gonna end up with a slightly different sized pita than I did. Spray a pair of baking sheets with the cooking oil and sprinkle those with flour. This is what we're gonna set our dough balls on to rest. The flour and the oil will keep the dough from sticking to the tray, which will make life a lot easier when you finally get around to the last bit. Flour the work surface very liberally. See how stretchy the dough is when I pull it? That is gluten. So that's what we get when we knead the dough. It becomes very elastic and stretchy. So traditionally people would do that by hand, but with a combination of time and modern technology, we didn't have to do that at all. Which really helps when you're trying to make like a lazy type of thing. Plop your dough onto your work surface. I divided mine in half just because it's easier to work with just half of the dough versus working with all of the dough at once. I put the other half back in the bowl and then just covered that with the plastic wrap and set it off to the side for later. Using your bench knife, divide the dough into 8 roughly equal pieces, or however many you feel like, don't let me tell you what to do. And then dust your hands with a bit of the bench flour and pick up one of the pieces. We're going to tuck the edges into the bottom of the dough to make a rough ball. And then roll it around on a flour-free area to form a bit of a tighter ball. When you have a smooth little dough ball like this one, then just set it on the tray and do the rest. Once you have rolled out all of the pieces of dough and have them set on your tray, go ahead and spray them again with the cooking oil and cover with plastic and a kitchen towel. And we're gonna go ahead and leave those again in a warm place for another 2 or 3 hours. After this final resting period, they should appear kind of poofy and you should see little dimples of air pockets in them. So now we should be just about ready to start rolling them out and baking them. You can bake the pita in the oven or you can bake it on the stovetop in a cast iron skillet. If you would prefer to use the oven, then I would recommend also using a pizza stone or something similar and preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. You will only want to bake 1 or 2 pita at a time because they take about 2 minutes to cook on each side. So there's a little bit of juggling in there, trying to get them flipped over and then get them out of the oven, which kind of makes me a little nervous, which is why I prefer to bake on the stove top. If you're using a cast iron skillet, I would recommend preheating it slowly. If you try to rush it, then it won't heat as evenly. So I would just click it on up to like a medium-low heat, and then after a couple minutes, you can move it up to medium-high heat. When the pan starts to smoke a little bit, then just turn the heat down just a tad until it kind of dissipates. While you are preheating, you can go ahead and start rolling out 1 or 2 pieces of dough. What I'll do is I will just roll out 1 single piece of the dough into a circle, roughly about a 1/4 inch in depth, and then I will put that on my skillet, and while that is baking on the first side, I will start rolling out the second one. Take your rolled out dough and then drape it gently into the skillet, spritz it with water, and cover with a lid. The water is meant to help create a bit of steam, which should Ideally allow the pita to poof up so you get like that little pocket. And unfortunately for me, I really only got one pocket doing this method. So feel free to try it, or you don't have to. Or if you have like a better method for making pita poofs, then please let me know, because I have yet to master that skill. Allow the pita to cook for about 2 or 3 minutes and then flip it over and allow it to cook on the other side. Ideally, you should get some browning on the surface. Then just allow your pita to cool on a cooling rack and repeat with the remaining 15 or so loaves that you have. So that's it, you made pita. Congratulations. And if you were being especially industrious with your roughly 5 or 6 hours of waiting, then you went ahead and made some hummus. And if you need help making hummus, well, you are in luck, because that happens to be the very next video. Well, that wraps up this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, you know, all that fun YouTube stuff. And I will be right here, you know, waiting for you to come back. I'll be stuck in this little box. If you happen to come upon a dark wizard, please tell him that I am very sorry and to please let me out. All right. Bye. I'm just gonna fade out into some awkward dark black thingy. Ow, my foot is asleep. That's what I get for crawling around on the floor. Ooh, spooky YouTube land. Do, 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 do.